Hello. I picked up today an insight that I think pertains to personal life more. It was also published in the past, but now I'm putting it in this format and see how it works before I start putting new insights on this format. How would you like an executive that comes to the meetings and his analysis and the problem is that the solution to the problem that the company is losing sales is that the competition has to change. The competition has to change. Otherwise, it will not work. The only solution is the competition has to change. You're going to say, what's wrong with the guy, right? How about if you have a problem in a certain country and you say the country has to change? You know, guys, that it will not make sense, right? Why it will not make sense? Because your problem is what you can solve. If you cannot solve it, it's not your problem. Always ask yourself the question, not only whose responsibility is. Because many times people have responsibility, but there is nothing they can do about it. All they can do is go home and kick the cat or something. There is nothing they can do. Go ask yourself the question, who can do something about it? That's whose problem it is. The fact that you're losing sales is not the problem of your competition. It's your problem. Who can and should do something about it? We don't make this mistake, or I don't think ever, in business, do we? Because it will be really ridiculous. The guy will need some psychological intervention. But we do this mistake in personal life, don't we? We have a problem in family life, what do we say? My spouse has to change. She has to change, otherwise it's not going to work. You have a problem with your kid. He has to change. Guys, the answer is what you have to do. You have to change first. Why first? Because if you change, maybe they will change. And if they don't change, then I have a different problem. What are you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying to you is, always focus on what's controllable. What's controllable? Who can control it? If you can control your spouse, which I doubt, okay. If you can control your child, depends how old he is, okay? But if not, then the question is, what are you going to do about it? Always focus on what we are going to do about it. Same thing we do in companies when we do our quote-unquote consulting. I don't like the word consulting. Our intervention, leading the process of change. Focus on what you can do. And if you change, whatever you're fighting will change too. And if it does not change, then you have a different problem altogether. Because you did your best and it's not working, then let's see what we do. Maybe what we do is walk away from this marriage. You did everything you can and it's still not working. Well, then maybe that's different problem now. Change the industry. If you did everything possible and still you're not producing good results, maybe you're in the wrong industry, maybe in the wrong country, maybe in the wrong region. Something is wrong. But you have to do it first. You know, many years ago I was doing, I can disclose it because it was, now it will be 25 years ago. I was invited by Bank of America to do some change, to lead some change. Bank of America was experiencing needs for change. And top management met together, and my role was to activate them to change. How do you do that when you have, let's say, only 2 hours to do? Well, here is what I did, and maybe that will be a manifestation of what I'm talking about. I asked all the top managers to get into the one room, because all those that rock the boat should be there to row the boat. I don't want us to talk about what they should do. We always talk about what we should do. We always focus on us. It's like looking at your hand. Don't talk like this. You. Because whenever you focus, you point with one finger at whose fault it is, pay attention to the next thing. One finger is pointing at that person. One finger is pointing at God. Uncontrollable conditions cause the problem. and 3 fingers are pointing at whom? At you. So let's see what we can do first, what's uncontrollable, before we attack the other person. So in the case of Bank of America, we got all the top managers into the room in one of their management retreats. And I was lecturing about life cycles and what's normal, abnormal in every stage of the life cycle. And then I asked them, would you like to know where your company is in the life cycle? They say yes. And here is what I did. And you might want to do the same. Write down on a piece of paper 5 to 10 top problems that the company has. But here is the conditions. Here is how you want to write it. Number 1 is no names. You don't want to do a witch hunt here, attacking people. So if you have a problem with the leader, say leadership problems. But don't say Sam is a bad leader. No personification. No finger pointing. Tell me about the phenomena. Tell me what's wrong, not who is wrong. Next, it has to be written in a way that's controllable by the people in the room. The problem is here, not there. Instead of saying the problem is raining, it's not your problem because God controls raining, not you. Say we don't have an umbrella. Say we are not listening to the weather forecast. We have a leaking roof. That is your problem, something that you can control. The rain is not your problem. It's what you do about it which is your problem. So write it down. Instead of saying, like in that case, unpredictable interest rates. That's not your problem. Who can do something about it? The central bank. What's your problem? We do not have a strategy to deal with unpredictable interest rates. So focus on you. No names. It has to be written in a way that is controllable by the people in the room. Don't put two together. Don't say low morale because of low pay. These are two different pips, no singular attribution. Low morale is one problem, low pay is another problem, and low morale can be impacted by many factors, not only by low pay. So just write the top 5 to 10, no more than 10, no less than 5. Take 5 minutes to write it. And I'm not going to collect the pages. I'm not going to collect the pages what you're writing. As a matter of fact, write it, chew it, swallow it. Nobody knows what you have written. All I'm asking you is to be honest with yourself. Don't show it to the people next to you. Don't let them see what you're writing. Just be honest with the paper. Honest. Be honest for a change with yourself. Write down. So they wrote down the problems. Then I asked them, and I'm asking you to do the same thing. How many of the problems you have written down have you had last year? Most probably all of them, right? 90% at least. Some rare cases, 80%. Most cases, 100%. How many of these problems have you had 2 years ago? 100%. 3 years ago, 80%. If you have had these problems all these years, what is the probability you will have all these problems 3 years from now? Very high. Why would it be different? One way to predict the future is to look at the past. Why would it be different? Why will it be different? Now I'm going to tell you why you have had these problems for the last 3 years, and you're going to have them in the next 3 years. How many of the problems of what you have written on your page, and I don't know what you have written, I have not collected the pages, I told them. How many of these problems can any single individual in the room solve? And the answer is obvious, none. Because if it could be solved, it would have been solved. Our problems is that we need the cooperation of others. And that's why we are stuck, because we don't have the cooperation. So the next question, if I had a magic pill and all the people in the room will agree on the solution, how many of the problems that you have on your page will be solvable? All of them. Because I set you up. I told, write it in a way that is solvable by the people in the room. So, what's the problem? Whose problem is it? Here's a mistake we all do. Instead of one manager chasing 10 problems, what do we need? 10 managers chasing one problem at a time, at the right sequence. Because it requires a cooperation of us. We have to decide which problem is not to solve so that we can focus on the problem we need to solve. So, whose problem is it? Whoever can solve it. If you can solve it alone, go for it. If it requires the cooperation of others, call for cooperation of others. But don't focus on others to solve your problems. That never works. In business, in society, and in personal life. Thank you.